Hello everyone, X4 here, and welcome to JoJolion Chapter 103 Review and Discussion, the final JoJolion chapter of the year, which concludes yet another year full of JoJolion. And although this year was quite unpleasant, to put it lightly, JoJolion was really consistent, and it was honestly probably my favorite thing this year, and something to look forward to every month, and a bit of positivity squeezed into this year. So I hope you guys enjoyed my reviews this month, as well as just the part in general. And that also concludes an entire year of fighting the head doctor. This chapter title is Endless Calamity Part 9, and before this entire arc, there's a bit of prelude to it, getting into the hospital, getting introduced to Toru and Akafu, and the mystery around the characters. So we have been dealing with the head doctor for probably close to 2 years now. JoJolion, the part that just keeps on giving. And speaking of giving, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. I hope you guys are all able to close this year off on a positive note and safely spend time with your family, celebrating whatever it may be, or nothing. Just try to have a good time and go smoothly into 2021. And speaking of giving, breakfreesupply.com, my clothing brand, if you guys want to pick up a last minute gift for any JoJo lovers in your life, or maybe just for yourself, we do have inventory still from our restock a few months ago. So if you guys missed a shirt on the initial drop, we still have disc designs available, the 1999 design, and one of my favorites, which is our Part 5 Giorno-inspired design, retro early 2000s sneaker. So you guys can pick up one of these for one of your loved ones or just for yourself. And to give a little kickback, a little gift to you guys that actually are the core community over here and really enjoy the videos, if you guys use code JoJo103 at checkout in the promo code spot, you guys will get 15% off all items in the store, or just 15% off your entire order. And that's only going to be available for, let's say 12 hours, only 12 hours at the time this video goes live. Just again, a kickback to the core community and those of you guys that really support the channel. So get yourself a gift at breakfreesupply.com, link in the description. So now, finally, onto the chapter review and discussion. JoJolion 103. To start off, we have the cover of Ultra Jump, a really, really pretty bubblegum JoJolion aesthetic that I posted on the community page on my YouTube, just to give you guys a little preview of what's to come in this chapter. Just really beautiful. Araki is really nailing the JoJolion aesthetic. All these bubbles, the bubblegum theme, or the color palette, just looks so good. And as well as the translators provided a cleaned up version, which will be perfect for the thumbnail. So thank you guys taking the workload off myself and really helping out. And inside these bubbles, you can see the head doctor kind of trapped in it. Just really damn good. So now we get onto the actual cover page, kind of this similar thing, black and white, and Josuke doing a pointing pose, a bit intimidating. And it says, some narration around it. It says, those bubbles are lines and they spin, which is going to be a big theme throughout this chapter, as that's stated a few times, and Araki is teasing us even more with what Josuke's new ability may be, or if he's able to unlock his full potential with soft and wet, or maybe if he went through some sort of transformation when he performed an equivalent exchange on himself. But again, guys, chapter title is called Endless Calamity Part 9. So let's get into it. To kick off this chapter, the first thing we see is an airplane up in the sky far from the fierce battle, and we get some of that good Araki narration talking to us about a plane that is going over Morioh, and it's going to be landing soon, and as it starts its descent, something goes wrong with the plane, whether it was due to the air pressure or the inspection standards weren't up to par. The security door on the plane actually comes loose and falls off. And we get some stats of how many times this happens a year and how dangerous it may be, yada, yada, yada. In my opinion, a little bit more dialogue than was needed for this Araki, but this takes up the first, I want to say 5 pages of the chapter, 6 pages. But what's really important about this is that the final time we see the door is that it's flying towards the shoreline, which is probably going to land near the Higashikata estate. And I love how Araki just throws in this wild card on top of everything else that's happening, all the other characters that are in JoJolion that could also be wild cards. Now we have a very heavy plane door hurling towards where this battle is taking place. And then that door is never mentioned throughout the rest of this chapter, which is exciting because later in JoJolion, whether it's next chapter or 5 chapters from now, we always just have to keep in the back of our mind that there is a plane door that had a lot of emphasis on it that will affect this story in some way. There's no way that this plane door will not come into play at some point in JoJolion, and I'm kind of worried about what might happen with this door. And we'll get back to that after we are finished with this segment of the chapter right now, which is back at the Higashikata estate, where Yasuo and Joshu just did an equivalent exchange on each other, and Joshu has his little baby arm, and he was being controlled by the Wonder of View very briefly when the exchange happened to try to stop her from doing it, but now it seems that Joshu is back to normal, and Yasuo is now facing the consequences of doing the equivalent exchange, which technically was pursuing the head doctor. And we see that the Wonder of View, the stand version of it is actually back at the Higashikata estate now, hovering over Yasuo very menacingly with Toru in the background. So this also does kind of confirm that the Wonder of You physical appearance can be in multiple places at the same time, because right now we also know that it's fighting Josuke. So hey, I guess he can just summon more than one of them. And we also got a explanation finally of the Wonder of You. You know how I've been asking for that page where Araki kind of lays out what the stand does? I think it was added to previous chapters because it wasn't in this chapter, but I saw it floating around online and there was translations made of it. So, I mean, really, it kind of does exactly what we thought it did, and it was just really confirmed to us, yes, the power is calamity. If you try to pursue it, bad things will happen to you. And as well as that, we got the confirmation that the old rock human man, Akafu Satoru, who we found out a few chapters ago was actually just an alias from a person that Toru stole the identity of, that old man appearance and the stand appearance are the same thing. They share a body and they can flip between the appearance. And I was always wondering why sometimes you would see the stand version, and it was also confirmed that once you realize that it's a stand, then it doesn't really need to hide its appearance anymore, and you see it as a stand. So I wonder if that means that non-stand users can also see it, but anyways, but it was never really confirmed that it can be two places at the same time, which it is right now, which is really damn powerful, because I guess Toru just has, he has that list he mentioned where there's a priority of who is being affected by the calamity, some people more than others. So I guess everyone that's on that list technically could have a Wonder of You in their presence, so Toru could have up to like 5 Wonder of Yous spread out at the same time, which is just really crazy, and the stand is too damn powerful. Araki went so overboard on Wonder of You, but I think we have a way to beat it. Might not be by any of the characters' intentions, but the plain door, which I'll mention in a few panels here. So we just see that the Wonder of You is continuing to approach Yasuo, and he says that you are now at the top of the list, and boom, it gets cut off, and we switch over back to the TG University Hospital, where Kyo, not Kyo, Kei Nijimura is back in the story, and she is actually going to get really involved this chapter, which is really damn exciting. But before we get on to Kei Nijimura, okay. So at the Higashikata estate right now, where we know that that plain door is hurling towards, we have Yasuo being attacked by the Wonder of You. There's 2 possible things I can see this plain door coming into the story. One is that Yasuo right now isn't really in the ideal situation to have a calamity affect her. Yeah, Joshu's near her, but he seems to have the effect kind of taken away from him. And if you think about it, the head doctor has never directly attacked someone before. Yeah, he'll throw out a rock animal on you like he did with the do-do-do-da-da-da-da, and in that panel, we actually got an explanation for that stand's ability as well, or that rock animal, but I don't really care about that thing. So I always wondered what would happen if you were just like in a desert or something, just completely on your own, no humans, no objects, nothing, and you were trying to pursue the head doctor. How would the Wonder of You affect you? Because we see that it can control other people, it can control objects, and it can control yourself into being clumsy or whatsoever. But I don't know what would happen if you were just, there was nothing around you to affect you. Would the Wonder of You actually come up to you and hit you like, oh, you're pursuing me, so I'm going to deal damage to you? Or maybe would it make the person have like, do some self-harm or something? And what I think here is that since Yasuo is so isolated, there's no one really around her besides most of the Higashikata family members. But what if that door is being controlled by the Wonder of You in some way? Because we know the Wonder of You can just control pretty much everything and make crazy situations happen. So it wouldn't be out of the possibility that Wonder of You, when that plane started descending, started controlling the plane in some way and intervening in fate and made the circumstances for that plane door to fall off, and then that would be coming hurling towards Yasuo, and that is the calamity that is about to approach her. That makes sense. That is one thing that could happen. Or another possibility is that this plane door is not being affected or controlled by anyone in the story right now, and is just a completely random chance that happened. And similar to Part 8's equivalent, Diamond is Unbreakable, Part 4, the main villain, Kiriyoshikage, was defeated by a completely random just coincidence, an accident, which was the ambulance running over his head. Like, yeah, we pretty much already had him defeated, but like, what were we going to do with him? Were we going to put him in jail? You can't really do that. He's a stand user. So this guy had to have been dealt with by someone, and it was just a coincidence that the ambulance ran over his head and was just kind of like a pretty little accident that put an end to Kiriyoshikage. So what if, in the alternate universe, this door isn't being controlled by anyone, and it's not technically pursuing Toro or the head doctor. It's just a door flying through the sky. What if at some point in this part, in the next few chapters, we get to a point where we are actually like fighting against the Wonder of You or Toro, and we're actually like, we kind of win against him, but then he does something where he's like, oh, you've dealt damage to me, but now Wonder of You can do this, and there's no way you can stop me. So like, it's going to be really hard to defeat Wonder of You. So I wonder if we get to a situation where this plain door just takes him out. That's the thing that takes out Toro, because it would make sense. The plain door is not pursuing him. It's pretty much just a coincidence. Yeah, it might feel a little cheap, but with a stand ability this powerful, it's honestly like one of the only ways he could be defeated. So let me know if you guys would like that, if that's how Toro goes out, the plain door. You know how everyone was like, the ambulance is the MVP of part 4, like ambulance is my favorite character? The new meme is going to be plain door. Plain door taking out Toro. So those are the two ways I see this being incorporated into the story: attacking Yasuo or attacking Toro, or maybe attacking someone else. But most likely what I think is going to happen is that that door is going to play into a calamity in some way. So we'll just have to wait and see. So switching over to the second half of this chapter at the TG University Hospital, where we now see that Kei Nijimura is in the story and she is ready to fuck shit up. And she is on the phone with Yasuo, and Yasuo is explaining that you need to get to Josuke. If we could just get to Josuke, we'll be able to solve all of this, which I don't really understand how, because Josuke is having trouble fighting the head doctor himself. So what is Josuke really going to do if he knows that Yasuo is also being attacked? Just kind of more stress and more pressure. So Yasuo seems to think that Josuke is the key. He is the main JoJo who probably will save the story in some way and defeat the main villain. But I don't really know what Yasuo's plan is that thinks, oh, if Josuke just knows what's happening, he'll come and save me or something. But I don't really think he'd be capable of doing that because he's in a fight right now. And Kei Nijimura is on the phone with her and she's like, yeah, I pretty much already know everything that's happening. It's like, hey, where have you been? Where have you been if you've known all this is happening? She's like, because she was taking care of Holly, she already knows like about Toro and that he's a stand user and the ability of his calamities. Pretty much Yasuo is just talking Kei's ear off and she just says, yep, I'm already aware of all that. So it's like, okay, you couldn't have helped any sooner. Rocky just stalling, and now Kei's brought back into the story. But either way, it's really nice to see her back. We talked about that a lot in the last chapter. And we also talked about, are we going to see Born This Way versus Wonder of You? Yes, we are. And we see it this goddamn chapter. Thank you, Araki, coming through with what everyone wants to see. I almost want to consider this fan service because it's like just bringing Kei back, which is such an odd thing that all of us wanted, but didn't really know if it was going to happen. This is like, I would almost consider this fan service, but it also works into the story. And we see that Kei kind of wants to help because she knows that half of Josuke is Kiriyoshikage. She just kind of states that, so it's maybe like that's why she wants to go help out. That's her motivation for fighting Wonder of You, because she still kind of sees Josuke as part of her brother, the same way that Holly sees Josuke as her son still. So he's still part of that Kiriyoshikage Joestar family, and you gotta help out your family. So now we get back to Josuke and Mamazuku lying on the floor looking like he is most definitely dead. Deaths in JoJolion so far. Jobin is dead. Mamazuku is dead. We never really got to have like a proper send-off for Mamazuku. Things have been moving so fast. Never did we have like a confirmation of his death, but I'm looking at him right now and he's looking pretty dead. So Mamazuku, probably my favorite character in JoJolion. Josuke might take that over depending on how the part goes, but Mamazuku was just such a good time, such a good character, such a good ability, design, everything, fat ass, and he's gone. Rest in peace, Mamazuku. What year was he introduced? 2016? 2016 to 2020. RIP. And as this fight continues, we get some dialogue that has been being stated for probably a year now of Josuke against the head doctor, where the head doctor is like, if you pursue me, something bad will happen, and make him pursue him. And Josuke is like, from the start, you've been making me pursue you. And Josuke's whole idea now is that I need to make the head doctor pursue me. He brought him into this lab and he laid it out with all the traps and all the soap bubbles. And now that they're in the lab, which is actually pretty smart of Josuke, he's like, okay, well, there's a bunch of Lokakaka 6251 over here that's really valuable that you've been working on for probably many years and trying to perfect, and it's worth millions of yen. Josuke's like, what if I just start breaking it? Like, I'm not technically pursuing the head doctor, but I could just start breaking this Lokakaka. And to me, that kind of seems like it could also put Josuke in a position to be affected by a calamity. Because in Josuke's head, he's like, it makes sense. If I'm not pursuing the head doctor's over there, I'm just going to break this Lokakaka. But since Josuke's intent is to break the Lokakaka to get the head doctor to pursue him, in a way, I could definitely see that being seen as Josuke pursuing the head doctor, and that pretty much is what happens. So Josuke's idea is, if I just break all these vials, nothing bad will happen. And as he's breaking the vials, they come back at him and they hit him. So it's like, was it even really a good idea in the first place? Because no matter how you try to beat this stand, it just finds a way to pursue you. Which again is so damn powerful, I need this plain door to come take this guy out right now. And before before we get on to the main events of Kei coming back and using Born This Way, there was some funny dialogue between Josuke where he's like, so, you're saying this little kakaka's worth 2 million yen. He's like, well, these kicks, I got these at the mall for about 7,000 yen. And then he just starts destroying them. So he's like, whatever, I don't care how valuable something is. And these $7,000 yen can destroy these millions, $200 million lokakakas. So just some good snarky Josuke dialogue. So Toru, head doctor, isn't really liking it that Josuke is destroying all these vials, and he thinks of a way to actually make Josuke pursue him again, which is pretty much just taunting him. He's like, oh, Yasuo, by the way, Yasuo is at the Higashikata estate, and she actually tried to pursue me, and she is at the top of the kill order right now. So she's probably going to die really soon. You like that, Josuke, that your girlfriend, I'm going to kill her? And Josuke gets so enraged by this, he actually gets a hit off at the head doctor, and he straight up like Gaara versus Rock Lee when Rock Lee takes the weights off, he's moving so fast and he finally gets a kickoff on him. Like, that's exactly what this panel is right here. But it turns out that he didn't actually hit the head doctor, and he hit his soap bubbles instead. And it's been being repeated throughout pretty much the last like 5 chapters now that Josuke's soap bubbles are a little bit different than what we thought they are. They're a spinning line that spins super fast, and we see Josuke actually get hit by one of these, or we actually saw Mamazuku get hit by it when he died, how they just went straight through him. So a better way to think of Josuke's soap bubbles rather than just an innocent little bubble is that they're like a bunch of mini vanilla ices. They will just completely rip and tear and destroy everything they come in contact with. So when Josuke kicked the head doctor, boom, he gets vanilla iced on his ankles and he falls back and he encounters probably one of the worst calamities he's had so far. His ankle is destroyed and then he falls backwards onto a part of the lab equipment that he broke, and it goes straight through his shoulder. So Josuke not in a very good spot right now, but as Josuke is just attacked by one of the worst calamities he's ever experienced, on the ground bleeding, Mamazuku is dead on the ground as well next to him. Not looking good for the boys right now. Whoosh. We get a sound effect at the bottom of the page. Whoosh. Chilling winds coming through. The bubbles disperse and in comes Born This Motherfucking Way in the building right now, man. And this panel right here looks fake. Like the way that Born This Way is just in the air coming at the head doctor, it literally looks like an edit someone made just online or something, because Born This Way is drawn in the exact same way from way back earlier in the part, and it is just so absurd seeing this motorcycle attack the head doctor right now. And the effect is so sick, man. This is the best part of the chapter. Like, this sequence right here makes this probably the best chapter in JoJolion in like 2 years. This is so sick right here. How Born This Way freezes the soap bubbles and then shoots the soap bubbles at the head doctor as they're freezing and actually gets a hit off on him. As you can see, the way that Mamazuku's head was like scraped by a soap bubble, that same exact thing happened to the head doctor. And then we see a panel that Toru was also hurt as well. So now we know if you can hurt the head doctor, you can hurt Toru. They are pretty much one and the same, and all damage is reflected between the two. So that is very good information to have. And I can't believe that Born This Way actually came back, and actually the first panel that comes back is able to get a hit off on the head doctor and deal the first bit of damage to Toru, I think, this entire part. So now the question that I know most of you are probably thinking, how was this possible? How was Born This Way able to hurt the head doctor and attack him without being affected by the Wonder of You? And it seems like Born This Way has some sort of immunity to the pursuing, whether it's due to her ability, like negating it almost, as her ability is to pursue. So maybe since that's her ability, it negates the head doctor's calamity in some way. Because like Kei just straight up walked in this room and attacked the head doctor, and there was nothing bad that happened to her. She was able to do it just completely free. And we've seen Josuke struggling so much to find a way around the stand, and Kei just walks in and just attacks him. So I think that's what's happening right now. I think that her stand, since it pursues you, it negates the ability of having to pursue and then deal the calamity, whatever way. Her stand is just immune to it, at least for now, what it sees. And if you guys remember the ability Born This Way, the way it would work is that it would also have a trigger. So with the Wonder of You, if you try to attack Toru, the stand pursues you and a calamity pursues you. But the way that Born This Way works is that the stand can be placed on you and you can be placed under its effect, but only when you open something will the stand actually attack you. As we saw when Josuke was opening phones, opening car doors, opening other doors, and that would require, or that would allow the stand to actually attack you after you've opened something. And it seems like the stand has definitely had a bit of a revision, because the way it originally worked is that Kyo actually had to come in contact with you. That was like an established rule. Kei had to touch you, and then Born This Way would be affected to you. So either she's touched the head doctor before or touched Toru before, but I think that whole part of the ability is just being retconned at this point. And also, I don't see the head doctor opening anything here, really. I mean, I guess he pushes Josuke away, maybe in some vague way he opens something, but it looks like Born This Way is just breaking a lot of its old rules. The head doctor didn't open anything, and Born This Way was just able to attack him. So I guess that's kind of cool that Born This Way is now just a complete physical attacking stand with no rules to it, or it'll be revealed later, or just, again, in a very weird way, maybe the head doctor opened something, and maybe like pushing Josuke opened up space between them, something weird like that. But for whatever reason, Born This Way was able to attack the head doctor and got a hit off of him with Josuke's soap bubble, which is just like the icing on the cake. And unfortunately, at the most hype part of this chapter is where it concludes. When I was reading this chapter, I was like, okay, plane, okay, Higashikata estate, okay, finally back to Josuke. And then Kei comes in and starts fighting the head doctor. And when I got to that last page, and I saw the credit page, I was so upset. I was like, oh, I just wanted to keep going. I really was excited to see the consequences of Kei attacking the head doctor, how this even works, what is happening, how hurt is the head doctor, and just all of these questions are going to wait to be answered until 2021, as yes, that is where the chapter closes off. Born This Way right next to the head doctor, but Araki teases us even more and just alludes more to that question, what is going on with Josuke's soap bubbles, is now that the head doctor has come in contact with the soap bubble, he sees something Josuke has not realized and something that cannot be seen is in them, which is interesting. Because if you remember, the last person that said that dialogue was Mamizuku Rai, and that happened when he was attacked by Josuke's soap bubbles. So maybe when you come in contact with the soap bubbles, you'll get some sort of realization, or you'll feel something that opens up your mind, opens up your third eye, and is like, wow, these soap bubbles are so crazy. So that happened to Mamizuku. The soap bubbles went through him, and he says, Josuke, these soap bubbles, there's something in them you cannot see. And we went on a whole string theory about that a few chapters ago. And now the head doctor is hit by the soap bubbles and says, oh, there's something in these that can't be seen. So it's like almost an awakening when you're hit by these soap bubbles. And in this chapter, when Josuke tried to kick the head doctor, he was hit by his soap bubble. So I wonder if Josuke is also having this realization at the same time the head doctor is, which is possible. I wonder if that's going to be a consistency, because like that seems like the way it works. You get hit by the soap bubbles, and then the truth of them is revealed. And Josuke was also hit by a soap bubble. So I hope that comes into play and is addressed in some way in future chapters. And maybe it will allow Josuke to use whatever is inside these soap bubbles that cannot be seen to attack the head doctor. And that is going to conclude JoJolion chapter 103. The chapter felt a lot shorter than it actually was, because the most hype moments of the chapter were the last like 4 pages. So everything that came before is a little bit forgettable, and you just want to see more of what's happening right here. But overall, really good chapter, exciting things and foreshadowing, like with that plane door that's flying through the air right now. We see that Yasuo's in trouble. She is at the top of the kill list. Josuke almost got a hit on the head doctor, but he was hit by his soap bubble. Head doctor hit by the soap bubble. Kei Nijimura back in the story and is able to actually attack this head doctor, and just, oh, so exciting for the future of JoJolion. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. We can discuss it for the next month down below in the comments about what you guys think is going to happen next. And yeah, I hope I'm not forgetting anything, but that was about everything I wanted to mention for this chapter. Really exciting stuff. Toru's in trouble. I hope that plane door doesn't kill Yasuo. I hope it kills Toru, and I can't wait to see what is happening in the next chapter of JoJolion, and if Josuke will realize what is inside the soap bubbles that can't be seen. So again, guys, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Hope you guys get to spend time with your family safely and close this year off on a positive note and move forward into 2021, with some good energy. We can manifest some good things from that year. Again, if you want to get a gift, breakfreesupply.com. Get something for your loved one, get something for yourself, some cool JoJo inspired merch. So yeah, other than that, guys, I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break from YouTube for the next like 3 weeks. I really didn't do anything in the beginning of this month. I was just kind of in a bad headspace, but this chapter again brought some positivity in my life, and I was really excited to talk about it. So I hope you guys don't mind the lack of videos nearing the end of the year here, because in a few days I'm going to be driving across the country back to New York to spend some time with my family for like 2 or 3 weeks, probably until New Year's. So I'm just going to be chilling, taking a bit of a hiatus from YouTube, but we'll come back next year with some good energy and some good vibes, and I'll bring you guys the best JoJo content I possibly can. So, yeah, that's about it for the update. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more. I hope you guys are all having a good end of the year. All of this year was pretty shit. But yeah, other than that, I appreciate you guys. Thank you. 15% off at breakfree.com. Use code JoJo103. All right. Love you guys. Peace.